Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to solve few questions from UGC NET and JRF examination paper on December 2020 and June 2021. The first question is the per minute solar radiation received on 1 centimeter square at the outer surface of a plane is called. The options are convection, B solar constant, C absorption, and D reflection. And the correct answer is B solar constant. The solar constant measures the amount of energy which is received by any given particular area which is one astronomical unit away from the sun. So any region which is away from the sun, whatever energy it receives from the sun, that is called as solar constant. Our next question is lateral planation theory of pediment formation was propounded by. The options are W. M. Davis, B is von Richthofen, C option is G. K. Gilbert, and D option is C. Darwin. And the correct option is G. K. Gilbert. According to this theory, mountains they go through a lot of weathering and erosion processes which leads to its recession or to its decline. Because mountains are more exposed to fluvial erosion as well as to alien or wind erosion, and when they are exposed to these forms of erosion as well as when there is very high temperatures and dry conditions, it leads to a lot of weathering. So all that leads to the recession or the decline of mountain slopes. So our third question is which one of the following groups of landforms is produced by erosion? And this is a very frequently asked question, and the correct answer is B playa, pinnacle, and swallow holes. Playa. Playa is basically a flat floored bottom of an undrained desert basin. Over the time period, it becomes a shallow lake when it is filled with water. Basically, playas are dry and they are vegetation free. They are caused because of the action of erosion. So basically, playas are depression in the desert basins. Pinnacles. Pinnacles are formed because of erosion of wind. They are steep columns of rocks which are left because of wind erosion. They are isolated from the other rocks and they appear to be like vertical shaft. So they are very pointed and they have been carved because of wind erosion. The next erosional features are the potholes or the swallow holes. They are formed in the upper course of the rivers. They are basically erosional landforms originated by fluvial erosion. They are small depressions which are caused because of erosion by water or the flowing river on the bedrock. The fourth question is identify the cryogenic indicators of paleoclimates. The options are evaporate deposit, B is ice cores, C is dewy crust, D is varves, and E is ice sheets. Here the correct options are ice cores and ice sheets. So broadly the stone age of human development is divided into three eras. One is Paleolithic age, the second is Mesolithic age, and the third is Neolithic age. So the Paleolithic age roughly began from 2.5 million years back to 10,000 BCE, where the humans lived in caves and they were the primitive man. They used basic stone tools which were not carved and also bone tools, and they used to hunt wild animals and birds. This period is recognized by glacial as well as interglacial periods. So they were basically covered with ice and there were polar ice caps. Then there was a Mesolithic period, which is the Middle Stone Age period, when man started sharpening his stone tools and the tools were more polished, and man also became more skillful and started growing some vegetables. So this was a period between 10,000 BCE to 8,000 BCE, a period between Paleolithic and Neolithic. And the last stage of Stone Age was Neolithic period, which was New Stone Age, which between 7000 BCE to 1000 BCE, where man became more settled and started doing agriculture. They also started using weapons as well as tools of polished stones and became more developed. The next and the fifth question is, Belize Barrier Reef is located between which two countries? A. Mexico and Cuba, B. Jamaica and Honduras, C. Mexico and Guatemala, and D. Mexico and Bahamas. And the correct option is C. Mexico and Guatemala. Belize Barrier Reef is a series of coral reefs. So it's a long coastline along Belize. It is the largest barrier reef of the northern hemisphere after the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. It's the home of various endangered flora and fauna. Belize Barrier Reef basically lies between these countries, Mexico, Guatemala, Belize as well as Honduras, and it is lying within the Caribbean Sea. The sixth question is, who among the following climatologists have advocated Hekistotherm concept in his climate classification? And the options are A. Miller, B. Koppen, C. Candolle, and D. Trivartha. And the right option is C. Candolle. So the term Hekistotherm is used for those plants which are cold tolerant. They can grow even in the polar region and they remain in vegetative state for a very long period of time. So Hekistotherm was first used by A.L.P. Candolle in the year 1874 in his climate classification. The seventh question is Geography. This is a book, Geography in 7 volumes, was authored by. So this book, which is called as Geography, which is in 7 volumes, was given by Strabo. Eighth question is, the first meteorological satellite of the world was, the first is TRMM or B. Tyros 1, C. MODIS, and D. NOAA. And here the correct option is B. Tyros 1. Tyros 1 stands for Television Infrared Observation Satellite. It was the world's first weather satellite that was launched on April 1960. Satellite meteorology, which is basically a study of the Earth's atmosphere and the ocean using various data which is collected from remote sensing satellites and other devices which are floating on board satellites which are orbiting around the Earth, which sends information which is then interpreted. The ninth question is, yard tanks are the creation of erosion by. Options are A. Fluvial, B. Aeolian, C. Karst, and D. Glacial. So yard tanks are actually constructed and formed by Aeolian. So yard tanks are basically highly elongated, very sharp and pointed crested landforms, and they have been caused and carved from the bedrock itself. They are basically carved by the wind abrasion. These yardangs are also known by different names like mushroom rocks or mud lions according to their shape. It is mostly found in the Hami Basin of Xinjiang, which is in China. The 10th question is, using the locational triangle, the concept of the least transport cost location was introduced by. So A. Walter Izard, B. M.K. Bandman, C. D.M. Smith, and D. Alfred Weber. And the correct answer is D. Alfred Weber. This concept of locational and least transport cost has been taken by the least cost theory by Weber. The least cost theory basically suggests all the important factors which are required for the location of an industry or a plant to determine the location of manufacturing of industries. So basically two important factors are required, the supply of raw materials as well as market. Depending upon the availability of raw material and market and their distance, the cost is determined. Weber's basic principle is that for a firm to be established, cost of its establishment is very important, and that cost depends upon the location.
That means what is the availability of raw materials and the distance between the firm and its market. So raw materials are obtained from a particular location. They require a certain amount of cost. Market location is to be determined to figure out how much amount of money is to be spent on transportation of the finished products as well. Even there should be an available cheap labor and it should be available at all times. The 11th question is: in which of the following water bodies the salinity is the lowest? A. Great Sea Lake, B. Dead Sea, C. Lake Van, and D. Gulf of Carabua. And the option D is the correct answer, Gulf of Carabua. Lake Caragua is actually a small or shallow lagoon which is along the Caspian Sea, which is known for its salinity. But Caragua has low salinity up to 14% because enormous amount of fresh water is filled into it by river Volga and Urals. Whereas Lake Van of Turkey is the world's largest saline lake. The salinity is 330%. It is basically a saline soda lake. After the Lake Van of Turkey, the second largest saline lake is the Dead Sea of Israel. So it is bordered by Jordan. It has a very high salinity, therefore, it does not support any macroscopic aquatic organism, which includes fishes as well as water plants which cannot live in this sea. Third most saline lake of the world is, after the Dead Sea, is the Great Salt Lake of Utah in USA, and the salinity rate is 220%.